Hi everyone, it's Roger here from What's on Disney Plus. Welcome to this week's live Q&A here live on YouTube. So if you can hear me, let me know in the comments below. So you can see Knoxwave is already in the chat. So this is our weekly Q&A. Back to being live this week. I was on vacation last week, got back late last night, had a fantastic time. I'm cruising around the Mediterranean on the Disney Dream. So I did a Disney vacation, loved it. Really, it was just fantastic. So back to normal from now. Back to normal. So this Q&A, we've got lots of questions, as you'd expect. A lot of them are about the removals of many Disney Plus originals. We've also got lots of other questions as well. So we're jumping in and out between that and the live chat. Yeah, there's been a lot happening. As Ricardo says, there's been a lot of stuff that's been happening. And yeah, it has been a very busy week. So I have been lucky enough, the Wi-Fi on the cruise ship was pretty good. So in the evenings, even though it was my vacation, I was still doing a couple hours of work a day. And a couple of the days when it was a sea day, I did a little bit more just to kind of catch up. But yeah, lots and lots of stuff going on. Loved it. We went to Rome, we went to Florence, we went to Pisa, went to Barcelona. Was lovely. Can't wait. Yeah, just such a great way just to relax and have a lovely vacation. It's time with me and my wife, and it was just fantastic. So it was good. Exactly what we needed. Right. So thank you very much for Kaylee for asking, as well to Knoxway. Thank you very much. Yeah, it was great. I cannot recommend it enough. Yeah, if you can ever do it, have a look at doing Disney Cruise. They are fantastic. Right. Okay. So let's jump into the big question first off. And I also would like to know. So when I get to the end of the question, I'll ask you guys another one. So Mama said, what are the positives and negatives of content removals from Disney Plus and for Hulu? For me, on one hand, the vast majority of content being removed are cancelled series and underperformed movies and reality shows. On the other hand, it does not look great on the image of Disney Plus and Hulu removing stuff. So let me know any positives and negatives of them removing content from Disney Plus. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. I definitely love to hear your thoughts. And you can also send in your super chats, and that really helps as well. Or you can become a member. And a big thank you to Keenan for the super chat. He said Disney Plus isn't the only service to remove originals. And I think we're going to see a lot more of this. We've seen it with Netflix has removed some. We've seen it with HBO. And there seems to be this new thing right now where now that's with the streaming stuff, they almost seem like they can remove things that are not working. They've maybe not brought enough people in. And essentially they become almost a write-off where they can write the money off, save themselves some money on like taxes, and basically put it down as an all expense. Because one of the key things with a lot of these titles is they never got released on other formats. So therefore they didn't have, like, if they go to a cinema release first, they make a load of money at the box office. It's much harder. You can't really, that's why we've not really seen too much of this, because with movies, they tend to, they sell them and all the rest of it, so they tend to make their money back. You put a movie or a series on Disney Plus or Hulu or Star Plus, and it doesn't bring in any new subscribers, and I don't think that it brings in any new subscribers, and it's not watched a lot, it's essentially not made them any money. So it's very, very, very difficult for them to do it. But right, so I'm going to jump into some of your ones in a minute, but first off, I'm going to give you mine. So let's just first off bring up my I even have some PowerPoint presentations for this. So not these ones up earlier. So first off, the positives. Let's start off with maybe the positives of why they are doing this. Now, I know a lot of people are going to be going, there is no positive. I've got negative as well. There's a whole slide for that. Let's start off with the positive. So first off, $1.8 billion is what they're looking to save by doing this, which will mean Disney Plus is in a much better financial situation for the future. They've been looking at the fact of 2024 to get Disney Plus profitable. Ryan, you've only just joined in. We've only been online about 2 minutes, so you're perfectly fine. So in terms of positives for why Disney are doing this, $1.8 billion is a lot of money. And that means that Disney Plus is going to really kind of bring about a big change. I think we are going to see a big shift now with, I think, just Disney Plus in general. We are going to be seeing a lot less content. They're going to be making a lot less. Now, I have been saying for probably, it feels like about a year now, that I felt that Disney Plus, or Disney as a whole, was putting out way too much content. Internationally here on Disney Plus, you could really feel it some days on a Wednesday when we were getting sometimes up to 15 new episodes of new shows a day on a Wednesday. And it was getting to the point of going, this is ridiculous. This is unsustainable. And then you were getting National Geographic stuff, maybe. It was, in all honesty, it was like, this is unsustainable. This is not going to last. They're going to have to cut off the tap. And they have. We have seen a massive cut in content. And I feel like with there being less, hopefully there's better quality, like we're going to see with Marvel and Star Wars, but with everything as a whole. There has been a lot of stuff that's gone out on Disney Plus over the last 3 years, which I'm going to be honest, it just wasn't really that amazing. It was average. Some of it was poor. Some of it I think was good, and I enjoyed it. Now I'm not going to say they were all bad, because there wasn't. There was I can pick out at least 10 to 15 things that were removed this past week, which I don't think they should have. I'll be honest with that. Willow, I enjoyed it. I kind of feel like they should have finished it because of how they left it, or they should have changed the ending so that they ended it and we knew what had happened. I thought Big Shot was great. The Mysterious Benedict Society was really good. Films like the Ivan movie, I forgot the name of it. Better Nate Than Ever. Those were good films. Also, Clouds. Clouds was fantastic. Prop culture. There were some great things on there, but there was a lot. Oh, The Right Stuff. That was fantastic as well. I think one of my favorite ones. So there is obviously we are going to see a lot less content. We're going to be seeing a lot less content dropping on Disney Plus as a whole, and that might be better. That might mean now better budgets, but more importantly, more promotion for those originals. I feel a little bit like with American-born Chinese. How much publicity has that had? How much push has it had? They did pretty good with publicity. They got did a special presentation at the White House with President Biden. That's pretty big. But in general, are they going to be able to push these shows much more and get more people's attention because they're putting out less stuff? Can they focus more on what they are putting out rather than just drop it? They were dropping some series on there, which was like, drop and move on to the next thing. They were doing the Netflix thing. So I definitely feel that more promotion is probably better for the shows that are coming, and they're going to be better quality. Also, it's actually a little bit easier to find originals. I did notice today when I went on to Disney Plus this afternoon, it did seem a little bit easier to find stuff because some of the originals have been, essentially they've cleared out. 100 plus originals on the international Disney Plus was a lot. So let's see if we got any positives first before we go on to any of the negatives. But let us know if you've got any positives. Kenny says, I don't see any positives from Disney Plus removal of content. I do wish they had licensed some of it to free tube, like Tubi or Roku, instead of having it be dormant. I think the problem is with selling it to another platform is, do they want that branding on like Tubi and stuff? Do they want Disney on there? For some shows, I think they probably could get away with. Do they want it out there, or do they want some of them gone? It's a very messy situation. It's not very nice at all. But yeah, so that's definitely going to be it. So let's now jump back into my negatives of this, really. So let's jump now into the negatives. So this one here, I'm just trying to get the right balance of what's going on here with this slide. There we go. Right, so the negatives. Bad publicity. This one has, without a shadow of a doubt, had some negative bad publicity. When this stuff came up a couple of weeks ago, there was a lot of negativity, a lot of stuff being said about this one, which I agree with. I felt like it was not they were getting a lot of negativity. I don't know if it felt like it kind of came down a little bit as the week went on, as people started realizing what was happening, but also as people were checking out the list and realizing that it wasn't like Loki or Mandalorian. It was stuff most people had never heard of. But yeah, so there's definitely an issue there with that. Damaged faith with viewers and the future. So this one here is one that I kind of put in with the idea that I think this is probably the worst one of damaging faith for Disney Plus subscribers. We've lost those shows. We don't have faith now that things are going to last on there anymore. That kind of feel of this stuff can stay there forever. We are going to see, I think, more stuff starting to shift around a little bit when the big green monster Hulk comes into Disney Plus News. I think we'll start getting more used to things leaving, but it does leave a lot of bad taste. But also, more importantly, it leaves the idea that anything that's been cancelled, and this has been the case probably for at least a good year, because we saw this last winter, once it gets cancelled, it seems to be fair game to be kind of gone. And now in the olden days, way before the days of streaming, if a network put out a television show and it didn't get a lot of viewers and no one tuned in for it, it wasn't shown again. And we might never see it again. It might not necessarily, if it did really badly, they might stop making episodes and they won't release it on DVD, on video or anything like that. And that happened a lot. But of course, over time, no one really remembers that because they got kind of removed from history. And so we don't tend to know about them so much. And, if you had them recorded on a VHS or Betamax or something like that. But those kind of shows happened a lot. There was a lot of stuff that just kind of got removed and we never heard about it again. If it was successful, it would be repeated. They would do syndication. They would put it out on purchase to buy on like VHS, etc. So this has happened in the past, but now we're in like a new zone, and obviously social media really kind of ramps it up. Also, the future aspect of this. I mean, how many of us are feeling like maybe like with American-born Chinese right now with this new series of going, well, I suppose I better watch it quickly because it might be gone, or do I give it a go because if they're going to get rid of it? Very tricky. It's a very thing of it could cause issues, I think, for people having faith in it. I know there's this thing with Netflix where people will not start a new series until there's multiple seasons. Ironically, if people keep doing that, they won't make more seasons because everything's much faster now. We're not getting like 900 episodes shows anymore. They are spitting through them. That's very, very rare. Even though, ironically, those are the most watched shows on streaming. So they probably should be doing them, but they don't do them. Damaged relationship with creators. This is one I think is big because essentially, the directors, the cast, the crew and stuff, they put all their effort into making these films and shows, a lot of them during the pandemic. So they were away from their family and going through all this issues. And then they get canned. And that's not a good look. It doesn't look good on their part. Yeah, might find trailers or something if you're lucky, but generally they're kind of lost, and that's not good for setting up new things. If you're making a new show and you found out from Disney that your stuff's just being deleted on social media, not so good, not good at all. So that's definitely one negative. The idea of the vote, just chucking a load 100+ shows and films into the vote, we might not see them ever. We might see them on Tubi. We might see them on another platform. We might see them in 10 years' time when the deal, like the contract, might have run out. We might never know. We don't know. But a lot of them weren't really watched the first time round, so they're not really probably high priority for them to come out. I think the films might have better chance, and so maybe some of the documentary series, those kind of things might have a better chance than some of the drama series, because there's been a lot of talk about residuals, obviously, with the writer's strike right now. But that can be a little bit different with how all that comes together. And also, but basically, it sucks. It is a negative because, let's be honest, this was a lot. When they said that they were going to start removing content, I didn't think it was going to be like this. I did not. I thought, we might see some stuff go. And I'm going to be honest. There's some shows on the list that got removed, and I can see why. The Big Fib, Shop Class. I can see why they went. Let's just, they probably weren't watched. It's kind of odd, like with Willow, a lot of people obviously talking about Willow. Willow was probably one of the most expensive ones. That's why it went, because they probably made more money by writing it off. But let's now have a look and see what you guys have commented. So let me know your positives and negatives and just about this as a whole. Ricardo says Disney Latin America basically confirmed a lot of the removed content will be licensed to other services, at least most of the lost media. All right, okay. Again, I'm a little bit out on some of the stuff because I've not been able to keep up with everything. But there's a lot of Latin American shows that kind of have been removed. A lot of them are high quality dramas. I'll be honest, I didn't watch very many of them, so I can't say on the quality aspect of them, but it does look like they had a big cull of Latin American stuff. If they can put them onto Lionsgate Plus or onto Netflix or Amazon, another one, I think that's a good idea. Maybe just sell them off. Maybe this concept of international originals, Bob Iger has spoken about doing less of them. Maybe they just weren't working. Maybe the international audiences just were not checking these things out as much. maybe we're kind of like we might check out a some anime. I think that is probably doing quite well. And then you got like Korean shows and stuff. But where are the Latin American shows doing well? In country stuff, we really don't know the details. Knoxwave says, I was not expecting Marvel's Runaway to get removed on Disney Plus or Hulu. Yeah, I was surprised with that one because that was as well as like 3 seasons and has not been around. I'm surprised they were able to write that one off because it's been around for so long. That was the only one that did catch me out a bit because that was like, well, that one's been out on linear. It's been out on that one's been around a long time. I couldn't really see how they could do that one there. Ricardo says, I was focused on watching Stumptown because it could be removed, but luckily it's still available in a few countries. Yeah, things like that. I'm surprised it hasn't been. Kelly says, I get why they had to settle the Hulu situation with Comcast, but the content removal does rub up cast the wrong way. I remember John Stamos and Yvette Nicole Brown weren't happy. I know, yeah, I think John Stamos, Jay, basically just said it was BS. And I think I did see something from Yvette Nicole Brown. Not surprising. Thank you very much to Matt C for becoming a member. Thank you very much. Ricardo says it was like they needed to remove content for every Disney brand for Pixar. I think the Pixar Lightyear documentary was probably just because not a lot of the film didn't do very well. They can write that off. And yeah, I don't think they could do that one. The behind the scenes stuff makes sense to get rid of with Willow because of and also the Marvel ones. I think the only ones they got rid of was Marvel Hero Project. I'm glad they saved the episode, but Marvel, I'll be honest, I thought Marvel Hero Project was not very good when it came out. And Nat Geo was a bit of an odd one. I don't know why Jeff Goldblum and like Supernatural and stuff, I think that, and American the Beautiful, I'm surprised that they went because I thought they were rather good shows. Matt C says maybe one positive is maybe they could add more library content since that is cheaper compared to all the original content that they've had removed. Well, I don't think it's necessarily the concept of it being cheaper because they still have to pay residuals to the people that are on the load of those shows. If they're animated, it might be different. They've maybe got to do quality, to get them up to HD. There's a lot of costs involved in putting legacy content on there, and are enough people going to watch it? That is the key thing. I would say, yeah, it makes a lot more sense for them to put some of the stuff they've got on archive. But I think right now, with this whole situation with what's going on with the Project Hulk, with bringing Hulu into Disney Plus, it's going to shift everything up a little bit. I do think we're going to see some less legacy content arriving on Disney Plus once the Hulu stuff arrives, because they won't be as needing to do that. Big thank you to Bob Trolling for becoming a member. Thank you very much for rejoining. Really helps with supporting. Knoxway said the one and only Ivan should have been released in theaters if that pandemic never happened. Yeah, I think that would have happened. I think we are going to see a lot less films going straight to streaming. I'm surprised Flaming Hot isn't. Ricardo says another thing that there is similar amount of content when the service launched in 2019, so the price shouldn't be higher if they are removing content now. The simple truth is with the pricing, Disney priced it to be cheap to get it into people's homes. It was basically, here it is really cheap. It was unsustainable at that price point. I know we're like taking away 100 titles that most people didn't watch. Probably in most instances, most people are not going to notice that those stuff have been removed, in all honesty. I know here on our little bubble within the Disney Plus community, it was a big deal. And as it should be, because it was a big deal. But in the global scale of things, most of these shows were not watched. I wouldn't be at all surprised if when the Indiana Jones movies arrive next week on Disney Plus, that they will probably be watched more than probably the 100 titles we've had removed to combined. And now I'm just going to say that being truthful. I hate the fact they have removed it, but let's take into consideration there's a reason these got removed, because not enough people watched them. Let's see what else we've got here. A negative stuff. A huge negative is removing the content is it devalues the price point for subscribers, especially with the recently hiked prices. So now it's paying more for less content. Yes, there's definitely an issue. The fact of them removing 100 plus titles is not good. There was some stuff in there which I just don't understand why they did that. I mean, like Rosalind. I mean, they made a big deal of putting it on there for Valentine. Maybe that was the key thing, if it was going to survive or not. I'm just going to focus just on this one here before I get into any other content. Knoxwave says, too bad Home Sweet Home Alone didn't get removed. A lot of people didn't actually watch it. But here is the key thing. We don't know what the number is that watched it. Maybe enough people watched it, and they are enough people going to be watching it Christmas after Christmas after Christmas, that it did work. Maybe it was a big enough hit that's why they've kept it. The Christmas movies seem to have done really well. So while we might not like it, it was a pretty bad movie. But if it was cheap enough and it made enough money, that's why it is. Right. Okay. So, right. Let's have a look at. I saw a question here which I want to get into for Sasuna because she asked this one. Do you think they'll put Modern Family in December or January when the Hulu Peacock deal is over? Right. So, what's going to happen with Modern Family? And this is what I think is going to happen in the US. You're going to get it when the Hulu project gets moved into Disney Plus. So, if you've got a Hulu subscription, you will find it in the Hulu tab on Disney Plus when it is. This whole new rule thing that we've got coming in with Hulu is going to completely shift around stuff. I suspect Modern Family is going to be one of the prime things to get you to watch inside of the Hulu bundle. So I don't necessarily think it will be included in Disney Plus American, but who knows what Disney Plus in America looks like in a year's time once they sort out this Hulu situation. But it will be available within Disney Plus. It's just you're going to have a Hulu subscription. So there we go. So that was your question there, Sasuna. So just so that one's good. Sasuna says, do you think they remove Community from Hulu is NBC and distributed by Sony? Since the whole situation with some of this stuff from Hulu is going to be very interesting to see what happens. Some shows might go over and be available. Some shows might not. Everything on Hulu is going to be available when they put it into Disney Plus. I suspect anything owned by them will be, but there might be some things that might not. If it's a big hit, that's going to be an issue. Matt C, maybe most of the originals related to lucrative franchises are most likely to remain safe. Mighty Ducks Game Changers is the closest that has been removed. Yes, I mean, the trouble is with the Mighty Ducks Game Changers is that second season was a really poor show. I mean, I couldn't watch the end of it. I thought it was awful. The first season, the first few episodes were really good. It kind of drifted off, but the first season was passable. But it got hit. The pandemic really messed with the script and the story of that one. The simple truth is did it actually? How many people watched that second season? That's the problem with that one. Right, let's jump into another question. So Matt says, what's going to happen to all the content Disney removed? So in theory, we don't really know what's going to happen here. Some of this content can be leased out to other contracts, to other companies, and they have to kind of take the money that they get from that and deduct it from the tax deductible. So they might be able to get more from it. I think Ricardo said, some of the Latin American shows are going to go to some channels in Latin America. I suspect they are not going to be released internationally for the rest of us. I can't imagine them putting on anything with a Disney logo, like Mighty Ducks or anything like that will end up going to any other platforms. Maybe I don't think they're going to want to have that brand issue going across. Because that's an issue you don't want, but they could put things on Tubi or something like that, but they ain't going to be coming to Disney Plus maybe either forever, or it might be maybe about 10 years. That seems to be some of the wording going around. Barbak says, do you think there's more backlash from the writers and directors who are upset that their content is being removed from Disney Plus? There's definitely a backlash, and it just sucks for them. They put all their effort in, especially during the pandemic, and making all this stuff, and then for it to be removed is not cool. It's definitely not cool. Connor says, could you see Disney relaunching international channels like Fox and Disney Channel in order to gain extra funds, especially ad revenue? No. I think like Disney Channel stuff, they're probably much more likely easier. Like here in the UK, they'll probably make it be easier just to license some of the shows in dribs and drabs to like Channel 4 or BBC. But even some of, especially with children's channels, the kids are just not watching linear television in the same way that they did when I was a kid. We used to watch it in millions because we didn't have video. The only video on your demand you had was a VHS tape. So you had to live television was much more important. The viewership numbers, when you look at like the viewership numbers for like some of the Disney Channel stuff, 100,000+ on some shows, and it's like, this is a country with millions and millions and millions of kids. They're not watching linear. And I think they're going to continue doing what they're doing with like some movies and stuff. They're just going to license out to other platforms. Babak says, it appears Comcast has stopped funding Hulu. How will that affect the Hulu deal? Yes, it came out, I think it was the Wall Street Journal that said that Comcast has stopped funding Hulu, and therefore Disney's had to kind of give like a bridging loan to Hulu to survive, to kind of keep going. Now, interestingly enough, if you look at the contract that they released from the press release back in 2019 when Disney took control over Hulu, there was a clause in there that stated that Hulu could start removing investment from Hulu in a certain point in time, and doing so would devalue their ownership of Hulu. So it actually was in the press release from 5 years ago that this was something that could happen, and it could bring down I think it was down to like a minimum of like a certain amount, a 5 point something billion. So that's probably what's been going on. It was in the contract that they could do that, and it would have just reduced it makes sense from their point of view. There's no point giving Hulu $500 million, $1 billion for costs and stuff when you might be like, well, we'll just take it off the end of what you owe us. We're just not paying. So that kind of makes sense. There was something in the contract with that one. Moppet Don says, why are people getting so annoyed at Disney for content removals? I've seen people saying they're going to move Marvel and Star Wars, and then with that one. But as far as I'm aware of things, they barely anyone watched. They were just bad or third party. And I think this is definitely something that sort of people maybe overlook, because obviously, like when we first found out that they were removing stuff, obviously most people will think of Marvel and Star Wars originals because that's what most people are watching. There's a reason for that. But yeah, I definitely see that one there. Kayla said, I remember Luke from Cool Cut News mentioned that kids don't watch the Cartoon Network at a prime time, hence why Warner Brothers started Adult Swim earlier. Kids don't watch television the same way. The trouble is, especially as us as adults, we're harking back to a time when we were kids and trying to think like that, and it just doesn't work like that anymore. Matt C says, which removals do you think were the most questionable to me? Prop culture, which was all about props from Disney movie. I can't imagine it was terribly expensive, produced, and continue to keep. Yeah, so for me, prop culture, also Among the Stars, Supernatural, American the Beautiful. Those are ones that I do question why they got rid of them. The Disney Nature behind the scenes documentaries, I don't quite get there must have can't have been a lot of things, but how many people watch them? Personally, I found the actual Disney Nature behind the scenes films to be more interesting than the actual films themselves. I would have rather had been the other way around, but that's just me. But Disney Nature obviously has an audience. That's just not me. I think the films to me were like, maybe they could have put them out on DVD and Blu-ray on limited release. They could have put them out. They could have even maybe sublet them out to like Netflix or something like that to kind of bring in some costs, rather than going down the full, just write them off because it's cheaper, quicker, and faster. So I definitely feel the films. Cheaper by the dozen. I didn't think that was very good. Magic Count wasn't great. But Disney have put out loads of stinkers in the past, and generally, I remember when Disney Plus first launched, people were going, "What's that movie? I've never heard it," because all the stinkers were suddenly being pulled out the vote. Matt C, it's interesting that Comcast wasn't happy when Disney chose to launch Disney Plus with Star instead of launching internationally. It makes a lot of sense. It makes a lot of sense from Comcast's point of view, because they're going, well, you promised you'd launch internationally, and Disney are going around going, yeah, we didn't. We didn't actually tell you that. The thing is, Comcast are trying to screw Disney out of money. Let's be honest. They want as much money out of this deal as they possibly can before it goes, because they know if they bring in an independent adjudicator, that's how it's going to get things. Right now, if you're Comcast, you're going to say it's Hulu's worth $1 trillion if you could get away with it, because you want a third of that. And Disney are bound to be going, we're going to give you the minimum we owe you. because it's not even in their view, and I don't think it's massively overpriced. If you're just going to merge it in with Disney Plus, it isn't worth what it is. Name recognition. There is some value in it, but I don't know if it's that much. So they're going to have to bring in this third party to kind of look at it. I suspect it's been going on. It's already underway. But also there's apparently been arbitration going on with like Comcast trying to seek damages for them not launching internationally, which obviously during a pandemic and then during everything like that, it's like the costs involved. I think they'd probably be all right on that one. But yeah, it's going to be litigation. But this is why this third party, they've just been sorting it all out. Ricardo says, for me, questionable was Dollface, Word according to Jeff Goldblum, and Pistol, which was an FX limited show. Shows that lasted for more than 3 seasons, like Motherland. Yeah, I mean, I'm surprised with things like Motherland, like how they were able to write that off because it's been on linear, and I don't quite get how they can write that off as a business. It just doesn't quite seem right. Pistol I thought was a good show. I enjoyed it. It wasn't amazing, but again, they dropped on the Queen's coronation. They didn't do a lot of promotion for it, I don't feel like, and that one could have stayed. And the Word according to Jeff Goldblum was solid. Knoxwave, even some Paramount originals were removed since its merger with Showtime. They're all doing it. They're all doing it because this is the new way of getting rid of cancelled shows and saving money. It's Barbatronic says, I'm worried about the max removal for Discovery in 2026. Yeah, there's going to be a lot more content being removed. Let's jump back into some other previous questions. Let's see what we've got here. See where I was. Man says, do you think the blame of what is currently happening in Disney should not be fully on Iger, but mostly on Bob Chapek and Kareem Daniels? It's on all 3 of them, because a lot of the stuff that happened with Iger fell over onto Chapek, and then Chapek was carrying on with what Iger had brought in. So I'm not giving Iger a pass on this at all, because I think he is making some very tough decisions, but I'm not entirely pleased with some of the stuff he's been doing since he's returned, because all the cuts and all the rest of it. He's being pretty ruthless with it. But Chapek screwed some stuff up. The trouble is, essentially, was during the pandemic, Disney Plus was going up, streaming was going up, and they were investing heavily in just trying to make as much stuff as possible. They were trying to follow the Netflix route, and it was not going to work. So some of that comes under Chapek, some of it comes under Iger. There's a lot of issues with all of this, but I put it on all of them. I don't think it's all of their issues of their control of what they've been doing. They got carried away during the pandemic and during the growth, because I essentially feel like with the pandemic, it just speeded up streaming by like a decade. Babak says, could these cancer shows land on other sites? They could do. They could end up on, like Freevee or something like that. But you got to remember, these other sites, they aren't going to want just loads and loads of cancelled shows, because that's not good either. They might want some of them, some of them, but also is Disney going to want to have, Black Scorpion and Ultraviolet? Do they want a Disney Channel show on there? And it's going to be tricky of how much money that these guys, the other companies, are going to want to pay for it. Muppet Don says, have you seen American Born Chinese? If so, can you give us a spoiler-free review to find out if I would be interested? Right. So obviously, with me being away on vacation this past week on a cruise, couldn't really access Disney Plus. The internet was not fast enough to run. We did have a Disney Plus highlights channel, which I'm going to do a little bit of an article on that at some point coming up this week, looking at what they do on the cruise ship. I was wanting to watch The Little Mermaid, but apparently they didn't get the disc to be able to play it in the big theater on the Friday. So I wasn't able to watch it. Didn't have any early screeners, but I did watch an episode this afternoon because I've been wanting to watch this series. It's if you watched like Everything Everywhere All at Once, or Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, or any of those kind of big like Hong Kong Chinese mythical films, give this one a go. I watched the first episode and I'm in. I want to watch the rest of it. I'm going to be binging through the rest of these throughout the week. I want to catch up on Succession tonight before tomorrow's finale. Also got last night's Night of Champions. There's a lot of stuff I haven't watched over the last week, but American Born Chinese, I'm going to be trying to get that one knocked out before Secret Invasion lands. Muppet Don says, when do you think some more Jim Henderson content is going to arrive on Disney Plus if they're still missing some Muppets content as well as Fraggle Rock? I do believe Fraggle Rock isn't actually owned by Disney. That's why that new show was on Apple TV. There are some films that might be able to come over because Sony have the rights to some of them. I think like Muppets in Space, I think might be one of the Sony ones, not 100%. But yeah, Fraggle Rock isn't actually Disney. So let's have a look, see what other questions we've got here. Gary says, pretty much a purge in all streaming services. I hear the Ghibli films are being removed from Netflix at the end of the month in some countries. I know in America they're on Max, so that doesn't surprise me. Matt says, I see Doogie Kamealoha on Disney Plus. Yes, that one made the cut. So enough people must have watched it, which is good. I also feel like, yeah, I mean, they've got to give it maybe a little bit long time. My VCR still works. Have you not heard of Scuttlebutt? Don't think so. Gary says Jujutsu Kaisen season 1 is being removed from Netflix in Hong Kong, and season 1 is still going to be going to Disney. Oh, okay. I don't know about that one myself. Gary also said American Born Chinese was okay, and Sun Wukong wasn't dumbed down like he usually is in Western productions. Yeah, I mean, I'm coming into this completely. I've got no idea what this is about. That first episode, I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed this one. Knoxway says, I actually enjoyed The Little Mermaid. It's one of my favorite live action remakes, along with Alice in Wonderland, Maleficent 1 and 2, Aladdin, and Cruella. I really enjoyed Aladdin. I really enjoyed Cruella. Maleficent was okay. Maleficent 2 I didn't like that one. Alice in Wonderland was okay. I need to go watch The Little Mermaid now. Whether or not I actually get to see it now this week, or if I wait for Disney Plus. I'm in that zone right now of, now I've like missed the opening weekend. It's like, I'm be honest, I'm not a huge fan of The Little Mermaid anyway. It's not one of my favorite films. So I want to watch it, and I am going to watch it. But whether or not I go to cinema or if I wait for Disney Plus, I don't know right now. I might see what's happening. I don't want to go this week because it's kids' holidays here in the UK, so that means the cinema is going to be full of kids making noise. And I generally go to cinemas when the kids are all at school during in the week. It's just quieter. It's one of those things that's one of the problems with seeing a kids movie in the kids' holidays. Kayla says, I tried to explain American Born Chinese to a friend where I said it's a supernatural series with a higher budget. I've seen Hindi superhero series that were made on shoestring budgets. There was a few dodgy special effects in the first scene with the transforming like eagle and stuff. It did look a little bit funny. Let's see. Let's carry on with some of the other questions. So Man says, with the disastrous launch of HBO Max to Max, what do you think Disney will learn from launching the combined Disney Plus Hulu app? Well, I think the trouble is it's more a case of they're going to be updating Disney Plus to a new app or a new experience. So it's not necessarily replaced. They're not replacing it. I don't think they're going to be replacing it with a new app. I think it's just going to be updating Disney Plus. Ultimately, your Disney Plus, they've already got the Disney streaming bundle IDs already linked. So then that's been going on for a while. So that should make things a lot easier, I hope, in theory. And they've been working on it for a long time. So the fact that the accounts have all been tied up for much longer than Discovery Plus and HBO Max is hopefully something good. Will there be some problems? Yeah, there's going to be some problems. But yeah, I definitely feel like they should be monitoring what's going on with that one. Tim says, has Descendants movie The Rise of Red started filming yet for Disney Plus? Yes. I believe before Christmas they showed some like clips, and we've seen some pictures of like Brandy as Cinderella. So they might have even finished filming. Kayla says, should Disney offer perks to Disney Plus subscribers if they visit a theme park or go on a Disney cruise? What kind of benefits would work best? So kind of funny, really, because last year I went to Disneyland and it was Disney Plus Day. So I got to go in a day half an hour early, which was great because I got to get some great photographs of the park and get some pictures of me with nobody around. And that was great. I got a hat. You know, you can see here, you got one here on Mandalorian, you know, that they gave me this hat and they gave me some pins and stuff. So that was good. I do think actually it's not so much, I don't know if it's better the other way around of like Disney Plus subscribers get like discounts off tickets off Disney cruises. That would be a great way of doing it. I did just do a survey for Disney Cruise today and they asked if I was a Disney Plus subscriber, so that was something in the survey. I I think there should be a little bit more cross promotion and stuff, but it's very tricky because if you're a Disney Plus subscriber, I don't know, in Idaho or something like that, are you going to be interested in a Disney cruise? Who knows? If you know we're near the park, it's a bit tricky. They are doing this whole thing with Shop Disney. I think that's a good thing. They're going to be doing something with the Indiana Jones stuff coming up next week. I don't think they've really kind of tapped into that enough. But yeah, I think it would be nice if you're a Disney Plus subscriber. Maybe you have a special area you can. But then ideally, they want everybody in the thing. And I got to be honest, if you're at Disney World or on a Disney cruise, probably the majority of you are already subscribers. So I'd love bonuses are great, definitely great. Tracy, Roger, all the stuff going on with Disney Plus and Hulu and ESPN. What if any of this got to do with the UK? Will we get any of this? Right. Obviously, when they bring Hulu into US, it doesn't going to affect us internationally at all. But it might help us get content quicker. It might start allowing us to get content much faster. That's the key thing I'm hopefully hoping for. It'd be easier with promotion, international stuff, because sometimes they hold stuff back. So I'm hoping that improves that. If they add ESPN Plus available as an add-on in Disney Plus in the US, whether or not that follows suit for us here in the UK with ESPN Player, because at the minute you can only watch it on your phone or on that's it, basically your phone or your iPad. So ultimately, the stuff that's going on with Hulu won't necessarily impact us in too much, but if they launch a new client, a new version of Disney Plus with new options and new hubs and stuff, we might get an upgrade to Disney Plus at the same time internationally. And I wouldn't be at all surprised if we get an update before the US so they can test it a little bit easier. Tracy also says, and next month the US and Canada and Australia are getting the making of The Mandalorian season 3 and new miraculous episodes. Why we're not getting them here in the UK? We always seem to lose out. So the Mandalorian special, the thing is with the UK list, we only get like a highlights list, so there might only be like 10 to 15 things on it. The other countries all get a full list telling you everything that's coming. So the UK, we probably are going to get the Mandalorian special. It's just that Disney UK haven't confirmed we're getting it. It's just a bit of a fluff with the UK system where we don't get a full roster update the same way that other countries do. So that's always a bit of a thing. And Miraculous, that's been the kind of the case into that. I think every country's on different contracts, so that's why there's a little bit of a delay. All right, let's jump back now into the questions and see what we've got. My VCR still works. I thought you have watched The Little Mermaid when I said Scuttlebutt. I have seen. Oh, is that the Seagull? That's the Seagull character. I haven't seen the new one yet, but yeah. So now I know what you're talking about. So Suna says, how much do you think the price increase for the ad version and the ad-free version? I am thinking it's going to be, probably 15 or 16.99 for the ad-free version of Disney Plus and Hulu. I think they're going to do something like that where you can get both. I think that's how they're going to kind of manage to boost the price up a bit, because they're going to be chucking in all the Hulu content. I think they're going to use this as a way of jumping it up. And I think the price of the ad version is either going to be $10.99 or $11.99 with ads, and therefore you get both Hulu and Disney Plus. I think they're going to merge the bundles together at some point. I think that's their way of doing it, because I can't see how they can. I don't think they can go to, because at the minute it's $9.99 for both Disney Plus and Hulu. I know they probably could go to $9.99 just for Disney, but they're going to be wanting to bundle them. They're going to be wanting to get you onto that bundle. I hate these dude caps. There's this thing in Europe, they have to be tied to it, so it hits you. Barbara Trolling says, do you think Netflix is going to remove content? They have been already. Matt says, do you think there's going to be an Indiana Jones collection? Oh, definitely. Definitely. Matt says, I'm still glad that Disney reversed the decision to remove Howard. This would have been a really bad taste with a live action movie. Yeah, that was really bad. I'm glad they did reverse that one. It's just a shame they didn't do more. Kelly says, the good news is Hulu and ESPN will be accessible within Disney Plus. It will still be Disney Plus, but with an updated UI and back end. Yeah, it's gonna look good. I can't wait. This is why I'm in this point now where I'm trying to I need to. This is why I've been looking at like ESPN Player, because now it's all coming in. I need to be a little bit more up with it on some of these US sports a little bit more. Matt says, if I have Hulu and Disney Plus separate, do I have to resubscribe to the new app? So when you say separately, are you paying for two separate subscriptions? Are they on the same email address? Because that's going to be the key thing. Or are you using the same user ID and stuff? Because that is going to be the big problem. If you are paying for them separately, maybe you're doing, I don't know, ad, because I don't know if there's a bundle at the minute where you can get ad free for both, so that might be, but as long as you're using the same ID, that shouldn't be a problem. But if you've got different usernames or different email addresses, you're probably going to want to switch that out at some point. I would probably say make the Disney Plus your bundle and add it on, and then cancel Hulu. But yeah, that would be how I would do that one. Matt says, are they going to make a live action Bambi? I hope not, but I bet they are. Matt says, Kayla says, Matt, if you have the Disney bundle, you should be fine. However, ask Disney directly when the time gets closer in regard to accounts. Yeah, definitely do that one. Gary says, Donnie Yen's Akira also scheduled to add to Disney Plus this week. I skipped the American premiere just to wait for the Disney Plus. Source material has been remade a gazillion times. Cool. That's good. Is that American Born Chinese, or is that a different show? Haven't seen that one yet. Kelly says, speaking of ESPN, Andrews predicts that the DTC version will launch around 2025. Kind of makes sense since they're talking with renewals for the UFC and NBA. Yeah, I think ultimately they know that they are going to have to adjust ESPN quickly, because what's happening is other networks are grabbing the market share, and they need to make ESPN available to all. People are not going to subscribe to cable just for that, and people are going to drop on and off of it. Matt says, when the Air, Hulu, Disney Plus will change, what did you want to see? So I'm guessing you mean when Hulu and Disney Plus change, what do you think is going to happen? I think we're going to have the bundle for a bit until Comcast sort out what they're doing. And then once that's been sorted and they brought it out right, we will see a full merger into a much simpler system, similar to what Paramount and Showtime have been doing. So Sina says, can you get Hulu content if you get ads like HBO Max Discovery? I don't know how it's going to work, to be honest. I would imagine if you are on, I don't know. I would imagine you've either got to, it's how complicated they're going to make it. Are they going to have to streamline it a little bit? So if you've got ads on Hulu but no ads on Disney Plus, does that? I don't know how that's all going to work, to be honest. It's very complicated. Knoxway said, I heard Elemental and Indiana Jones 5 have mixed reviews. Do you think Disney will be successful with them films? Indiana Jones 5 will probably do really well. Elemental is probably going to struggle, because there's just a weird thing right now with animation where people want something new and original until something new and original comes out, and then they don't want it anymore because they want something that they know. And also families are, we're in a cost of living crisis. Going to the cinema costs a lot of money. Teenagers and adults tend to go cinema much more because we can afford it. Taking a family to the cinema costs a lot of money. But hopefully with Elemental, they just need to put PR behind it. Right now, they are 100% focused on The Little Mermaid. And I think some people sometimes misunderstand that with the fact of, well, I've not seen any adverts. I've not seen. They're not going to do that while they're spending the money on Little Mermaid. They need to focus on one at a time. So that is an issue. No worries, Gary. I didn't think so, but I wasn't too sure. It's not coming to Disney Plus stateside because it's licensed through. Yeah, I figured it was something like that one. Kayla says, I know when Hotstar shuts down in the US, Disney gave Hotstar subscribers a grace period for them to join the Disney bundle at discount. I could see that for the UK and Canada when Disney merges Hotstar. It's going to be interesting what happens with Hotstar, because I have a feeling that Disney is going to be drastically cutting how much content they are making, especially in India. I think we're going to see a big cutback. And I'm not even, I'll be interested to see if they start releasing them internationally or if they just make them local. But I can't imagine, I don't think Hotstar in the UK and Canada is going to be around for much longer. I could see that one being going. Right, so Sina says, mine is without ads for Hulu and Disney Plus. So if you've got without ads for both, you shouldn't have ads, I wouldn't imagine. Gary says, Disney bought the streaming rights to Sakura for Southeast Asia. Cool. But this is what they need to do. They need to get these kind of shows At least for the local audience, this is what you need. And also sometimes this is probably more cost effective, so I think that's a good thing. Matt says, what shows do you like to see added to Disney Plus? It's kind of tricky, really, because I'm not a huge. I don't tend to go back and rewatch stuff I've already watched. Sometimes I will do a little bit with stuff. So I'm much more interested in watching the new stuff. I'll be, I don't. There's so much new content being released. I tend to be where I focus on. So in terms of like what new shows, most of them are coming onto it anyway. So I don't necessarily think there's nothing really classic that I'd probably end up watching. Right. So a few more episodes. I mean, I did watch some of the Kardashians. We caught up a little bit today, so we watched some Gogglebox, some Kardashians, some Big Sky, some Grey's Anatomy, and American Born Chinese. We had a bit of a lazy afternoon. So that's what we were watching this afternoon. Mama says, at your last live Q&A, you predicted that the majority of content removals would be third-party content on Hulu, but since then it turned out the content would be removed with the majority of Disney Plus originals and some Hulu originals. What do you think of those removals, and does what's left of Disney Plus original justify the section in Disney Plus? Yeah, I totally called this one wrong. I thought they were sure we're going to go after the Hulu content, but nope. They went straight for the jugular of the originals. But maybe I still think we are going to see a big cut in the amount of content available on Hulu in the coming months ahead of the Project Hulk coming in. This is what they refer to as bringing Hulu into Disney Plus. That's the kind of the project name for it. So, and it's also kind of in reference as well, maybe a little bit to Comcast, but it's very interesting. Yeah, so I completely missed the mark on that one. I still think it's going to come. I think that we are going to see a big cull of content that's licensed coming up. And as far as originals, so let's bring up this. I want to bring up here, because I did have a look myself. So this is Disney Plus now internationally. So you click on the originals tab. There is still a pile of shows and series here that is available. There is an absolute mountain of stuff. And I'll be honest, probably most people haven't even noticed. Probably some stuff is gone. You know, there is still a massive section of movies and shows and stuff, and there is a lot of stuff in here, but it's just the stuff that ultimately people were watching. I'm just noticing here more than robots. I thought that one was removed, but maybe not. I thought that one was gone. I thought that one was one of the ones that gone now. I'm just trying to see which other ones, because this is I just realized there's a couple of other ones. I think that was the only one I've seen that was on the list of stuff to go that didn't go through. Playing with Sharks. No, that one's still there, so that's good. Yeah, so I think there's definitely enough stuff there. So we've got two more questions of the pre-done ones, and then we'll just jump back into live, and we'll go for about another 6-7 minutes. So we'll aim to close at the end of the hour. Dalek says Indiana Jones and the original Willow were both made by Lucasfilms. Where will these go hub-wise, since there's no Lucasfilm hub, only Star Wars? They'll probably just go in an Indiana Jones collection, and until maybe the new version of Disney Plus launches, we might see a better hub for it. And finally, Tim asks, will Doug Day's Carl's Date come to Disney Plus after it's been defeated? Yes. So it's going to be in line with other shorts. That will just make sense. I mean, I think that's good, especially with it being his last performance as well. Right. So Sina says, can you change the ad version if the free version gets expensive? Yes, you can always downgrade. If you go into your profile settings on the website, you should be able to downgrade. Unless you're on like an annual plan, that might be a little bit, you might have difficulty. Otherwise, you might need to contact Disney customer support to do so. But you will be able to downgrade a package if you're on a monthly scheme. Obviously, because they don't offer an annual system, so there's a little bit of an issue with that one. But I suspect you should be able to sort that out. Gary says, surprised Ed Norton's Hulk movie is on Disney Plus in Canada now. Yeah, I mean, that one's been on Spain, but I think it's great that one's popped up. Matt says, do you think there's going to be a lot more consolidation of content moving, for example, more films going theatrical and more TV shows going linear and then going to Disney Plus afterwards? Yes, I think we're going to see more films going to cinema first, especially like the Searchlight Pictures and the National Geographic ones. if they can reclaim some of the, basically just make money. Sending a movie to streaming doesn't make a lot of money. Putting them out in cinemas, then putting them onto streaming makes more money. Putting them out on then digital platforms, put them out on DVD. You get more revenue. You can then also license them out maybe for like the pay 2 window, as well as keeping them on Disney Plus later. So that's one way of doing it. I think we are going to see more sharing of content between the linear networks in the US and Disney Plus, because I think we're going to end up getting into a situation of next day. You're going to get next day for, with the Hulu situation, we're going to end up seeing Grey's Anatomy and Station 19 and all those kind of shows. You'll get them the next day on Disney Plus when it kicks in. And you're going to see now like Disney Plus, or, I think that's how we're going to end up seeing it. We're going to start seeing the same way we see it like with Hulu, how it's been, is it will just be Disney Plus instead of Hulu eventually. So you have the Disney bundle. Yeah, so if you're on the Disney bundle, because you have ESPN Plus as well, you should be able to downgrade your bundle. I mean, if you don't watch ESPN Plus, maybe you could go down to the Disney ad bundle, which is $9.99 a month, and that gets you Hulu and Disney Plus with ads. Depends if you want to save some money. There's going to be some options, but I suspect those bundles are going to get a little bit more streamlined when we have a full merger eventually. Kelly says, I remember reading the head of ABC considered syndicating past shows at seasons of Disney Plus originals. If the WGA strike goes much longer, it shouldn't take a strike to syndicate content. I think the trouble is, I feel like there was always there was a them and us in Disney, and they were a little bit like the linear networks were still like so focused on theirs, and they wanted the profitability from the ads, and they wanted it on linear, and they didn't really want stuff on streaming. And there was like Disney Channel never would even mention Disney Plus in a press release, because they were still very much like almost like they're the enemy. Things have really seemed to have changed now. It's like all of it, and we're seeing it much more now of the posters for Nat Geo, and they need a better strategy generally, because it's all over the place. But I do feel like with less content coming out, we might see a more better strategy. It makes sense from ABC's point of view. Why not put out WandaVision this winter and put Mandalorian season 1 on, or Andor? What harm is it going to do? If you're putting out WandaVision or the Falcon and the Winter Soldier for 6 weeks, get it out. Why not? I mean, why not? Especially if it's been out for a couple of years. I don't see a reason why not to use it. I just don't see that one. Matsy, I did see that there were talks of Disney shows possibly being added to Disney Plus full schedule. I need to have a look at that, because I missed that story. But yeah, it would make a lot of sense to do so. It 100% would make sense, because at the minute, the whole schedule is just like reality TV and like unscripted, which ABC's it does need some. But yeah, why not put Mandalorian season 1 on, Andor? The Book of Bob. Might as well use this content you got. So Suna says, are we going to see Mixed Dish and Malcolm in the Middle again? I suspect what's going to happen now, anything like this is going to be staying in that will be under the Hulu tile. You're going to need that Hulu subscription to access it. I don't think we're going to see anything like this now being added to Disney Plus in the next few months. And then when they actually put the things in, all these kind of shows are going to be in there with that Hulu bundle and in that Hulu tab. So I think that's how it's going to work. So I don't necessarily think we're going to see them shifting stuff. Mixed Dish is very difficult as well, because that was a cancelled show. It's actually pretty good. I thought it was all right. So that one's a difficulty with this one. Well, thank you very much for Uniloud Entertainment. Thank you so much for your support. If First Searchlight Pictures on Disney Plus was flaming hot. Yeah, so this one is going to be the first film to debut on Disney Plus in the United States. So this one it will be the first like official film to go on there in the US. It's also going to be the first one to be distributed on both Hulu and Disney Plus. So it's a big one. But yeah, thank you so much for your support. That's fantastic. Matt C says they're adding Home Improvement next month. Yes, I think we are going to see that. I would definitely put like Home Improvement in like a different category to maybe, Malcolm in the Middle. They might put some things on there to bulk it out a little bit over the next coming months, but I don't know. I just not now that we've had this like Hulu announcement with the US, I feel like they're just going to hold off on a lot of stuff, but they might need some shows like this just to kind of boost it. But they've got to watch it, because they're already in legal issues with Hulu and with Comcast, so they're not going to overstep it too much. All right, so last two questions. So Max Knoxwave says, is Born Again resumed filming, or is it still on pause? I believe it's finished now. It's on pause. I think that's how there were problems with the strikes. I suspect they have probably had to finish it off because they ran out of scripts. But we don't know how far they got into it. So they might if they've maybe got halfway through, they maybe get half. It's going to be very interesting to see how all this comes together. Final question. Kelly says, what's interesting in the WWE, they did a cross promotion with the NBA with select talents posting with trophy, which is interesting since NBA finals are on ABC and WWE deals are elsewhere. I think it's probably more about just trying to get to that and getting a cross promotion between them all. And that reminds me to watch Night of Champions tonight. Right. On that note, guys, thank you very much for your questions. Thank you very much to all of our supporters on YouTube, and I think it's fantastic for everyone jumping in. I'll be back next week with another live Q&A. Look out for the post in the community tab and on Patreon if you are a member of Patreon for questions. So make sure you keep a lookout for that one. Again, big thanks to everyone for joining us. We've got like Sasuna, Knoxwave, we've got Caleb, we've got in here Gary. See who else we've had in here. We've had Bubba Trolling. Hello to all of you. Matt, everyone that's become a member. Thank you again so much. And on that note, guys, thank you very much. See you guys soon. Laters.